recording as well. Okay, there's a Kareem joining. Yusuf, is Kareem for you or is it for Khadija?
It's not for me.
It's
Karim is
for
not for
me.
me.
Okay, it's for you. Okay, all right, great. Um, okay. Well, I think I'm recording it. I think we'll just start, and then as people come in, we will, if they have any questions, but we'll send out this recording too as well, so that everybody has a a copy of it and they can go back and watch it at their own time. And then I think what we would do also for, Yusuf, because you're the point of contact for your school, and because you're the ones that were sending me the emails, and then Khadija, we'll just make sure that we follow up with you all so that we can make sure that the kids have been able to access, or the teachers have been able to access, and maybe answer any questions or concerns once you are all um, in front of the computers and actually doing the work, yourselves. So just to kick this off, my name is Abby with Future Perspectives. So this is really nice and exciting to have you all here. On the call, we also have Ben and Simon, who are from the Archer team. So I will kick it off to Ben and Simon, whoever wants to kind of kick this off so that we can start.
Go for it, Ben. Go for it, Ben.
Yeah, no, thank you everyone for joining us. I think that you know, I'm going to walk everyone through how to use the platform, how to get your students acclimated, but at the same time, like we'll have this recorded. We can, I have a document I sent around. You can email us questions for help, things like that. So don't feel a lot of pressure to get all this right now. I think it's pretty straightforward, but we're here to help. So I think we're just going to walk through things and ask me questions as you have them, and hopefully everything is pretty straightforward. So everyone can see my screen here. I've sent around a document for onboarding. This should have some basic steps to get everyone set up. And I just want to quickly show how we're going to get started. So for privacy and security, normally students use the platform by giving us their email. They sign up, they log in with their email. For privacy and security, we're not doing that. We've set up accounts for each of your students based on the spreadsheets that we have, and each student accesses the platform with a specific link. So Abby's going to send around spreadsheets for each school to the proper teachers so that you have your school's links, but I'm going to just show you an example. This is from one of our schools here. So as a teacher, any group of teachers, you have an admin dashboard where you can view all the students' progress, how they're doing, what they've worked on, and how they worked through different problems. I'm going to visit this next, but as you can see down here, if you can see my cursor on my screen, and please stop me if my screen isn't sharing or anything like that. I can't see my own screen share here. We've got 2 students for this school, and next to each of them, we have a login email. So this login email is the link that they use to access the platform themselves. I'm going to go ahead and just visit this first student's login link. So one thing I should say beforehand is please keep this document private, share it only with the teachers within your organization. Obviously, there's not super sensitive information on the platform or anything, but anyone that has the student's login link can literally log in as that student, can do work as that student. Anyone that has the admin login link can log in and see every student's work. So you're going to want to keep this private. And in the document that I sent around, I suggested that what you as the teacher will probably want to do is for each student, send them an email with their link, and they should save that in a safe place. If they need it again, you'll have this spreadsheet, and if you lose it for some reason, I can give it to you again. Don't worry, it's not like you're locked out. But you're going to want to treat this link like it's a password. It's a private piece of information. So I'm going to show you what happens when I visit this, when I log in as this first student's login URL. And here I am on the dashboard. I'm going to go through what this dashboard includes in more detail shortly. I'm not going to do it on this student's account because I want to keep the student's account free of any activity. But as you can see, as soon as I visited that link, I was logged in as this student. Going back to this spreadsheet here, I'm going to copy the admin dashboard. Now remember, this is for all you teachers. I'm going to paste that in my URL. I'm going to automatically be logged in as a teacher. This is the dashboard for viewing teacher progress. So this school has 2 students currently. By the way, we can add students. You just email me if there's students you want to add, things like that. I can add them anytime. And they'll start showing up on your dashboard. In this case, I chose the school with the fewest students just to keep it simpler. These dashboards, by the way, might take a little while to load. They might take like 30 seconds to load. They literally load all the students in your school. So if you're just patient with it, it will load. If you have problems, it's help at OK Archer, but it just goes to Simon and me. And if you have any problems with it, just let me know. We're here to help. So here you can see from this drop down, jump to student, you have the list of students organized alphabetically. You can quickly see what percent of the coursework they've completed, what percent has been correct. And then in more detail, here I'm looking at this first student. I can look very specifically at all the work sets that they've done. I'm going to go through this in a demo shortly, but I can see all their work, and basically I can see if they had completed some work, I would see what they completed, how they did on it, and which questions they got right or wrong. And I can also go in and actually see the progress on those questions. So I'm going to jump back from this. That should give you an idea of how to use this spreadsheet that you're going to be getting with links to for your students and for yourself as an admin. Now I'm going to jump to close these out.
Sorry, Ben, I had a quick question.
Yeah, please.
So let's take Khadija's school that has over 190s, and I haven't opened up each of them. Is there still a dashboard by the teacher for specific students?
The dashboard is by school. We only have it's for the whole school, but the students are organized alphabetically. So unfortunately, we don't have an ability to divide it by classes, but we have it divided by school in this case.
Okay, so for Adiola's college, for example, that I think there's about 4 teachers on there. So they all have the same link to be able to get in, but then they can go in and, filter to their students, or just go and take a look at their students and see
Yes.
what their students are doing.
Correct. Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
And again, as we're using this, as people are using this, if there's issues, just please let me know. I mean, we're just going to kind of get started here with this pilot, and if there are issues loading it or it's hard to see certain things, let me know. I can probably make a few adjustments here and there as we need to make it easiest to use for you. I'm going to jump to, this is a demo account that we've set up that mirrors the math program that each of you is going to be using with your students. I'm going to use it for showing you how to use the platform. You probably already seen this, but I'll show you again. So as you can see, I'm here. I've logged in as a demo math student, and I'm going to do a quick tour of the platform. Now, for your students and for yourselves, if you haven't logged into Archer yet, you might automatically see a tour pop up. If the tour doesn't pop up for some reason, you see on the left side here, I scrolled down and I clicked the Take a Tour button. So let me just walk you through the dashboard a little bit. Again, I think that, as you have questions or things like that, please, we're here to help. We've got videos on how to use things. I think it should be pretty straightforward, but I just want to give you I want to start by giving you an overview of what the students are doing and how the students use the system and how to get your students started. Then I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to use the admin section, which is really much more like kind of like a read only, just basically looking at what's going on. You as the teacher don't really need to do anything with the admin section aside from see where progress has been made and maybe tell your students to do certain things based on your own decisions and guidance in your class. So starting here. All right. So if the student is first logging into the system and has not yet done any work on diagnostic tests or problem sets, they're going to see a section up here that says try the AI tutor. This is randomly picking 3 different problem sets they can use just to get started with answering questions and using the tutor as they go. They can ignore this. You might want to use it to get the student comfortable with how to use the system. It's really your choice, but this will pop up in this initial stage before the student has done anything. You can use it if you want or not. I'm going to go through the tour and then I'll actually click in and do some problems as well, but just to show you the sections of the dashboard. All right, the next section here is the diagnostic test. So this is probably where you're going to want to start. And in my onboarding document, I gave instructions for, for what we think you'll want to start with. So Simon's created 2 new diagnostic tests. Let's ignore these 3-level tests up here. We'll get back to them, but I want to go over what Simon's created and the whole idea behind these. So Simon's created a test called diagnostic test, which you see right here, which is like a pre-test. We want a way of measuring what kind of progress that your students make after using the platform. We want to see what we're starting with and where we end up. So Simon created this first diagnostic test. It's got, let's see, about 50 questions. And this is probably where you're going to want your students to start. When they log in for the first time, you'll tell them to scroll to this diagnostic section. I've already started it in this demo account, but if they haven't yet clicked it, it'll say start and they'll start answering questions. I'm going to do that in a second. I'm going to answer a few questions and show you what we're working with. These other tests that Simon created, especially for future perspectives, is a follow-up test. This should be taken at the end of the whole program when students are done with their tutoring progress. The whole idea here is we want to be able to measure how did we do? How did students progress? So this diagnostic test up top is like the pre-test. Have your students do that first. This follow-up test at the bottom is going to be your final test to review where progress was made. And these 3 diagnostic tests here, the naming is a little confusing, but the idea behind these 3 tests is that we start recommending things that the students work on once they've finished this initial pre-test. And I'll get back to that and give more detail. But let me continue the tour, and then I'm going to go back through how I would have your students start. Hopefully I'm not jumping around too much, but I just want to go through the use of the dashboard. So in addition to the diagnostic tests, you'll see on the left side of the screen, we have this sidebar where you can jump around as well. We've got a set of videos that students can watch at any time. We've got a set of notes that students can view at any time. And again, I'm going to go over all these. I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to go over notes. I'm going to show you what all this is. We've got notes. These are all teaching materials that supplement the student's learning journey through the platform. And I spoke too soon. It tells you that you can use the sidebar to jump around to different sections. And it tells you that you can have your students scroll to the bottom of the dashboard to change settings, such as their grade level, or probably more pertinently, the language that they want to use. So previously we talked about changing it to the Hausa language for some students, but if your students are learning in a language other than English, you're gonna wanna have them change that setting first thing in the platform before they start using it. So the platform itself, they'll still see all the sections and the settings and things like that in English. The language setting is what the language the tutor will actually use in speaking to the student and in giving instructions to the student. And I'll go over that in a little more detail soon. All right, so I believe that is it for the walkthrough, and I'm gonna just start all over again. I'm gonna refresh things. That should give you a sense of what this dashboard is and what's going on here. So here I am starting as a student for the first time. As I mentioned, you're going to want to start with the initial future perspectives diagnostics test. This is the initial test for the program. I click diagnostics. I went down here. I'm going to click resume. Now, my math skills are not going to be that great. I already did the first problem, which was pretty easy. Let's see if I can go back to it here. Yes. Okay. So I did this first problem. I clicked answer, and here I am. It's on this diagnostic test. It's not going to tell there's no tutoring available. The idea is this is actually a test. The student is going to give their answer. They might show work. They might not. They're going to give their answer, and then it's going to say, thank you, move on to the next question. So in this case, okay, consider the equation. Which of the following has a solution to the equation? All right, so I'm gonna say choose a random answer. I click submit answer. Now I'm gonna move on to the next one. If I have, I'm gonna show you using the platform tools a little more. Yeah, I think you've probably seen this, but you might say, you know, if I need to use a calculator, I click on the calculator tool. And there's, sorry, I'm just jumping around on my screen here. Use the solve there. So basically the diagnostic test is it's kind of like a one-way street. The student is just using this and using the platform to answer these questions. They have no tutoring help. The whole idea here again is to get an initial kind of baseline of the student's skill level and where they're proficient before doing anything within the course. You're going to want to have your students start with this. It's 50 questions. You'll have them answer each question. Should be pretty straightforward. Let me jump to another question, and let's jump to something little. All right. So I'm going to use this. Let me walk through how to actually like use the program a little more like an actual student would, and show you how to use the calculator and things like that. So an event planner is planning a party. The venue costs a one-time fee of $35 to rent. And additionally, it costs $10.25 for each attendee. The event planner has a budget of $200. What is the greatest number of attendees the planner can invite without exceeding the budget? So I'm going to start by saying, okay, my event budget is $200. I'm going to subtract the initial cost of $35 to rent the venue. It's going to give me $165. I'm going to add a step to do more work. I have $165, and actually I'm going to use the calculator again. Say $165 divided by $10.25. All right, so I can have 16.09 students. It's going to get hard, or attendees. It's going to be hard to have a partial attendee. So I'm going to say 16 is my answer. I'm going to submit my answer. And I'm going to move on to the next question. I also want to note that there is a speaker button, a speaker icon that you can see here whenever I get a message from the system. Pressing that will play back an audio, a text-to-speech version of whatever is appearing in this yellow box. All right. So as I mentioned, you're going to have your students complete all of these questions as a first step. Going back to my dashboard where I can see which questions I've completed. And I can see that questions that I've gotten correctly, I've answered correctly, are in green. questions I've answered incorrectly are in red. And questions that I've viewed but have not yet answered are going to be in black. This isn't as relevant for the diagnostic because the diagnostic is like a one and done, a one-time answer. In this case, like when I visit a problem that I've already answered, it's not like I can change my answer or anything like that. It's already been recorded. So this is a way that you can see if the students completed the entire diagnostic, and basically they should have all, you should see green and red everywhere. You should, each question number should be completed in some form. And if it hasn't even been visited, if they haven't even started it, it'll be this light gray in number, and it'll be a dark gray if it's been visited, but they haven't yet given an answer. So that's the initial diagnostic test, the pre-test that we're going to save the results of, and we're going to come back to at the end of all the tutoring, the entire program, and get some information on how people performed and what kind of improvement there might have been. As I mentioned, this second.
Ben, if I can just interject for a second. So
yeah.
Yes, that's the very first thing that kids are going to do, is that first diagnostic test, and that's to get the baseline. But to actually get them rolling on the program, and this is, I think, where Ben's headed next, they're going to take that first diagnostic level 1. And what Ben's going to show you is just what happens when a kid gets a question wrong, what happens on their dashboard, and that's going to inform how they're going to work through the content. Sorry, Ben, I just wanted to.
No, that's totally fine. So again, we're going to do this. You do this diagnostic test first, and then you're done with it. We kind of put it away until the end. This last diagnostic test, we're going to save till the end of all the tutoring. So as Simon was mentioning, let's look at these 3 diagnostics. So this is more of what the, now we're going to start jumping into actually using the program and getting recommendations and then using some actual tutoring. These 3 diagnostics have been created to try to identify areas that we want to recommend the student to work on within the platform. They've been divided by level of difficulty. 1 is the easiest, 3 is the hardest. And so what we'd recommend after you have your students do the initial intake test is start with diagnostic level 1. And I'm going to jump to that. And here, this is similar to the intake test. There's no tutor at this point. We just want to get an understanding of where the student might need work. So I'm going to want the system to recommend to me something. So if I get this question wrong or incorrect, I'm going to get recommendations of something I can work on. If I'm correct in my answer, it won't make a recommendation. It will say, okay, I got that correct. I have some understanding of order of operations with absolute value. So in this case, I'm going to say that the answer is 67, which it is not. Can then advance to the next question. And I can do all of these, or I can do some of these. I want to show, though, having just answered one, I want to go back to my dashboard. I answered this first question and I got it incorrect. At this point, if you see up top, a new section has appeared where I'm getting recommendations. I have a recommendation for an absolute value lesson and a recommendation for an absolute value level 1 problem set. Simon's done a great job creating all this teaching material. It's pretty cool. I'm going to go through a little of it and show you the flow of what an actual student might be doing. So again, to put this in context, what's happened is on this diagnostic level 1, I've not correctly answered a question about absolute value. So the system has detected that, and now it's giving me teaching material so I can learn about absolute value, and it's giving me a problem set to work through of absolute value at that initial level where I will be able to use the tutor. But I'm going to start by just showing you this lesson. So here you see absolute value. You see this little green button that says lesson. Click view. And we've got a video discussing absolute value. I don't know if there's any.
And distance cannot be negative.
But I recognize my voice from the video.
It is a riveting video. Basically, what you would probably have your student do is watch this lesson at this point. once they've completed the entire diagnostic level 1, they're going to have a whole list of recommendations to work on. You probably have them watch the lessons. Let's pretend that we've watched this video. And then you would probably have them work on the recommended problem set. So I'm going to show you working on a problem set with the tutor themselves. We're going to click start for the absolute value level 1. What's the value of the absolute value? What is the value of the absolute value of 7? I'm going to start using this and asking for the tutor's help. So if I type something into the box and I click send message or even just click enter, it's going to send that to the system for the AI tutor to start working with me. So what is the straight line vertical symbol? Do you know what the again, we can play.
And I want to know, by the way, even as he scrolls down, you can see at the top of the screen in the blue bar, you can still see the question right there.
Yep. And so normally this would play sound. It's not playing sound because of my Zoom settings, but okay. So I'm working on this. Obviously, I'm very rusty on absolute value and I need some help. So I'm stuck. I'm clicking these buttons at the bottom. I can have a free-form conversation by sending messages. I said I'm stuck. That will prompt the tutor to give me some help. So let's break it down. Problem's asking for the absolute value of 7. So if you think about the number line, what is the distance from 0 to 7? I'm going to say -7. Check my work. So it's guiding me. What is the distance from 0 to 7? Oh, it's 7. Your students can answer however they want. They can think of this as a chat conversation. They can think of it like a dynamic workbook. When I think I've gotten the answer, though, I click submit answer, and I got it. The absolute value of 7 is indeed 7. It's the distance from 0 on the number line. So they can also at that point continue talking to the tutor if they want to get more information, or they might just want to move on to the next question. I want to note, and I'm going to do that in a second. I want to note a few things also on the screen here. So here I'm on the absolute value problem set. It's a certain subject matter. It's algebra 1. Up top here, I've got links to all 20 questions. These problem sets are dynamic tutoring exercises. Students can jump around. They can go to different questions. They can come back to a question. They can use these links up top to go to any of these questions. And in fact, as you see here on the left, there's a take a tour button. When they first use their first question answering link or answering their first questions, either on the diagnostic or the problem sets like you're seeing here, they're going to see a tour like this. It's going to explain to them, this is the text of the question. This is the audio button. You can add additional steps to your solution. That's a bug, but the additional step is not present here, but I showed you the step plus button before. And it's just going to guide around. There we go. I see. Okay. Yes. So now sorry, it was not showing the step button before. It didn't know where to point at it. This is where I can add additional steps as I work through the problem. This is where I can send a message to the AI tutor. These are I can go back to settings to change the language. I'm going to do that in a second. When you think you've solved the problem, you can submit your answer. If you're stuck on a question, you can say, I'm stuck. You can ask the AI tutor to check your work. And if you give up, you can view a solution. I'm going to show all these as I go through this a little bit, just so you see what students are actually doing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think as you might have noticed, and Ben's going to do the next problem, and he's going to get it wrong. He's going to submit a wrong answer. But notice that even as Ben defiantly refused to put the right answer in and asked for help, Archer did not give him the right answer. This is not an answer bot. It's an interactive tutor, and a good tutor is not going to just give the answer away. And that's how it's programmed. So there is, of course, going to be a way for the student to see the right answer if they keep messing it up, but it won't be marked, but it's going to take some work for the student to give up. We don't want it to be, this is a learning platform, not an evaluation platform.
Exactly.
Sorry, Ben, before you go forward, Yusuf, I know you're having audio issues. Do you have a question? Or Kareem or Khadija, any questions before we move forward? Yusuf, you can type it if you're having audio issues. None. Okay, none from Khadija. Kareem, any issues? Oh, sorry, any questions? Sorry. You're on mute, or you can type it. Still cannot. Yusuf, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear now. I think it's I'm back.
Okay, you can hear now.
Uh,
Okay. Do you have any questions before we move forward?
I'm okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's go ahead, Ben.
Great. And thank you all for your patience. I'm obviously trying to go through things slowly and in a lot more detail than we probably, I think the platform's pretty straightforward to use, but I just want to cover as much as we can. And again, we're here to help as you're using it. I'm sure there's going to be questions and issues that come up. We're here to help. You've got an email for us. You can talk to us anytime. So this is a section I want to show you as well. When you're on a problem page, there's a section called teaching materials. when we finish this walkthrough, I'll show you how that actually works. But students at any point can jump to notes and to videos related to the problem set that they're working on so that they can actually learn in real time things on the topic that we're looking at. And then lastly, there's a previous and a next button to go back and forth to the next question. So I've finished my little walkthrough tour. Back to this teaching material section. So for any problem set, if there are related teaching materials, you're going to see this drop down up top. And in this case, I hope you can see the drop down on my screen, but in this case, there's a notes document and there's a video. We were already recommended this video. We were watching it before, but it's attached to this problem set. Students can watch it again if they want. There's also a notes document. The notes document is a lot of what was featured in the video, but is just a readable document that the student can use that has notes on how to solve different things. A lot of times it's the actual notes that Simon's used in making the video itself. So these are just supplementary teaching materials. So let's jump to the next problem since we did so well on that first one. All right, what is the value of of the absolute value of -12? As we said, I'm going to get this one wrong. The tutor is prompting me that you should consider its positive counterpart. So it's continuing to progress and giving me hints. In this case, I've said the answer and saying great job. to actually register an answer, this is a dynamic learning set, so it's not as relevant, but to actually register the answer and see the animation, the student should click submit answer when they know that, when they think they have the correct answer. Get that correct. So I'm going to show you another question. We're just going to keep using this tutor a little bit just to show you different pathways of what's going on. All right. What is the value of the absolute value of -3? In this case, I'm going to submit the wrong answer. It's obviously not going to give me, it's going to say that that's not the right answer. And in this case, I'm going to click the view solution button. Let's say I'm giving up. These are obviously very simple questions. Let's say I'm giving up though, and I don't want to continue. Okay. If you want to view the solution, your answer will be marked incorrect. Are you sure you want to view the solution? This is the only time that an answer will actually be marked incorrect on one of these learning problem sets. Students, the idea is that students can keep going as long as they want with the tutor, submitting an answer. If they get it correct, it'll be marked correct. If they are incorrect, the tutor will keep helping them and trying to guide them. If they give up and it's time to move on, they can click the view solution button. They'll get a prompt like this that says your answer will be marked incorrect. Are you sure you want to view the solution? Yes. I give up. And here we have a step-by-step walkthrough. Again, this is a very simple problem, so it's a little bit straightforward, but the step-by-step solution, problem asks for the absolute value of -3. Vertical bars represent the absolute value function. The absolute value of a number is the distance from 0. This means that it's always non-negative. Therefore, the absolute value of -3 is 3. Correct answer is 3. Do you have any questions about the solution? Again, I can continue to talk to the tutor, and I'm just going to show a little bit of, let's try to get the tutor to go off topic. I mean, your students, I'm sure, are going to immediately try to mess with the tutor and, you know, and see what they can do about it. So that's a pretty tame way of getting it to go off topic. I'm sure they'll try much more interesting things. So at this point, it's having a free form conversation with me about absolute value. Continuing to keep me focused. So if I keep talking to it within this practice problem, it'll keep giving me potential problems. It'll keep guiding me through this. The whole idea again is this is a interactive tutor. So these practice sets are not, the goal of them is not just to get the student to get the answer correct. If they get it correct, great. They understand that particular question. That's good. More than anything, we want to engage with them in understanding what they understand and how they are doing it, and helping them to arrive at the correct answer, actually provide tutoring. So I'm going to move on from talking with the tutor about the absolute value here. Let's go to the next question. I think we probably have covered the idea behind all this. I'm going to use the calculator a little more just to show you how to use that and give you a little more walkthrough there. So what is the value of the absolute value of -5 plus 3? Okay, let's say I know that it needs to be on. I'm going to be impressed if students actually are this patient with it. I mean, you don't need to write something like this. I'm just trying to be be an extra well-behaved student in using it. But in this case, let me just do that one more time. In this case, let's say that I know that these are going to be +5 and +3, but I want to use the calculator to solve them. I've clicked the calculator icon here, and I'm going to type in, or I can press it with the keys, 5 plus 3. I click solve. I add a step. I say my answer. And that's my correct answer. So that's how you use the calculator. The calculator is available on any problem, that arithmetic calculator. Let me show you also, it's not as applicable. Well, we'll do a problem set where it is applicable. So basically I've now walked you through, I've been pretty repetitive, but I've walked you through this practice set. You can see up top, I can see all the questions that I progressed through. Got mostly greens. I've got one red where I gave up on that problem. That was too hard for me. And I've worked through my practice set. When I get to the last question, or if I'm ready to move on to new things, I can click finish, whether I finish it or not. And it will take me back to my home screen. At this point, I've completed, remember we had the recommendations before from the diagnostic questions. I've completed all those recommendations. So those are gone. Once I've finished the recommendations, once I've either viewed the lesson material or completed the problem, or at least attempted the problem set, it's going to stop saying that that's recommended. It knows it was recommended for me, and it's going to encourage me to try other things or continue with the diagnostic. As Simon was saying, you probably want your students to complete the entire level 1 diagnostic before they do any problem sets, so that we can get a sense of what their baseline is, and start making as many recommendations as we can, so they have a lot of things that they can work on. But I'll show you in a second that you can scroll through the whole program, and students can do whatever they want at their own pace as well. In this case, I've clicked back into the diagnostic. I've jumped all the way to question 10. And let's see here. I've got a function question. If f of x equals 5x minus 1, what is the value of f of 12? So I'm just going to show this. It's not as relevant for this problem, but it will be relevant for other function problems. So we are integrated with the Desmos graphing calculator. This icon here, it's kind of a graph with an arrow. You click that, and not sure if your students have used Desmos, pretty popular graphing calculator online. But
it's allowed for the SAT, which is why we embedded it.
Yeah, it's allowed for the SAT. So in this case, I'm going to graph a function, pretty much simplest graph. And I guess I could use my original function as x plus 1. And I could look at what f of 12 is. And I could figure out that it's 61. I could use the calculator, the graphing calculator for that. Or I could say, all right, 5x minus 1.
You put the wrong function, but that's okay.
Oh, I did. Sorry. Oops.
I think you put f of x 5x plus
Okay.
1.
That's
That's
I would have gotten that incorrect.
Yeah.
And why don't I'll answer it incorrectly anyway. But
yeah.
All right. So obviously we know that the answer is 59, but I got it.
And a quick point about Desmos as well. It's a really important tool in the SAT, and it's just a good tool for students to be able to use. So actually, I made 6 videos just on how to use Desmos. So if kids don't know how to use it, those videos are on the platform.
Yep. I'm going to say 61 because I wasn't paying attention and I answered this incorrectly. I used the wrong function. And I want to see it recommend some stuff to me. So I completed it. I can move on to my next diagnostic question. And if I were to go back to my home page, I've got new recommendations. I need some work on functions, or clearly. So basically, just like we showed before, I'm not going to go back into these too much, but I've got recommendations up top, and I can view this lesson. I can jump into this problem set about functions. But let's go through. So hopefully that's clear in terms of the process of taking any of these 3 diagnostic tests. Again, level 1 is the easiest, level 3 is the hardest, progressing through those and getting recommendations as a student as to what to work on. If you want your students to work on maybe a very specific lesson plan or have your students explore at their own pace, they can also ignore the diagnostic tests or move past them. And as you see on the side here, we've got all these topics divided into larger subject levels. So algebra 1, algebra 2, data analysis, geometry, etc. If you scroll down on your homepage, you see everything in one place. In this case, absolute value level 1, I already started working on that. I can resume and I can see that, okay, I've got these questions that I've answered. This question I started, but I didn't answer. And this question 20, I started, but I didn't answer. I can jump right back into where I was, or I can go to any of these. I can start on a new problem set. And I want to show you using a different language so that we can go through what it's like if you have multilingual students or students that are going to be learning in a language other than English. I'm going to choose French because my French is probably not terrible, but you have any of these languages, hopefully you can see this drop down. If you can't, it's about 200 languages you can choose from. I've changed my language to French, and now I'm going to go back and I'm going to work on, let's say, a trigonometry question. I really kind of want a word problem. So word problems, divisions, and multiplication. All right. The question's still in English. Since I've changed to French, I now have this button that says Translate Problem. If I click that, I see that Madame Johnson cooked 48 biscuits for the, I'm trying to translate it, for the school bake sale, and she puts them in 6 bags. All right.
He's just showing off he speaks French
Yeah.
at this point.
Ben, can you see
Yeah.
if we, because Yusuf, Karim, and Khadija, they're all from the same place. We're all Yoruba.
Okay.
Can you see if we can change to Yoruba? That would be very exciting to see.
Sure.
The last time we did it in Hausa. Yay. So Yoruba is there as a,
Good luck
and
reading that, Ben.
Yes. Yeah.
and then we'll make sure that there's Igbo and Hausa, so at least the 3 major languages will be relevant there.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to jump to another one. All right, so in this case, I've changed my language to, as you saw, I changed it to Yoruba.
Look at that.
And if I, the tutor
That is
should
very
continue
nice.
to, and I'll have to take your word for it, but the tutor should continue to converse with me in my language of choice. And if I were to talk to the tutor in that language, they should understand it as well.
That is fantastic.
So hopefully that allows students to work in the language they feel most comfortable in, and talk with the tutor in the language they feel most comfortable in. Again, I'm just going to show you one more time. Just to change the language, you go to settings, either from a problem page or from your home page. Settings is at the very bottom of the page. Scroll down on the left here, you go down to settings, and then you just choose from this drop down the language that you want to use. And remember, the platform itself will stay in English. The original problem will stay in English, but they'll have that option to translate. And if they start talking to the tutor even without translating, but they've set the language to something other than English, the tutor will converse with them in their language of choice. So I think that's most of it. As I showed, like scrolling down this dashboard, which I'm just going to go back to the top. We've got all these major sections here, all these major subjects. But scrolling down the dashboard, at the bottom, we've got videos. Here, I can watch any video in the platform in one place just by clicking it. These are also all in English, but I've also got notes that I can look at. In this case, I already looked at this absolute value note. If you remember when I was doing the problem set on absolute value, I looked at those notes. And here it shows that I already viewed this. This is a way that you can see what your students have actually looked at, what they've done in terms of teaching material. I can look at circle notes. These are just different ways of using the platform. You can have students that are using the platform, starting with their diagnostics and getting recommendations. You can have students going through and doing problem sets or looking at materials that you want them to look at. You can say to the class, okay, everyone should be doing Algebra 1, absolute value level 2 tonight or something like that. Or you can have them use the platform in a free-form way or do really whatever they like. I'm going to now jump to what it looks like for the teacher. There is one bug I was noticing earlier, but I'm going to talk about what it should be doing. But okay, back to the idea of like you as the teacher now want to see the progress of your class. You have a special link. You visit that link and you've got this admin dashboard. In this case, we only have one student in our class. It's this demo math student, the account I was just working on. If you look at the drop down, you see that I finished 0.7% of the program. I've gotten 0.2% of the program correct. If I had multiple students, I'd see all of them here organized alphabetically. I'd see who's done what, and I'd see how well they're doing. But I can also scroll through here and see, we're going to try to organize these alphabetically, by the way, but I think they are in reverse alphabetical order somewhat now, but we'll fix that. You've got all the problem sets that they possibly could be working on. And in this case, we know that I was working on absolute value. I was working on absolute value level 1. I've completed 30% of the problem set, got 15% of it correctly. Now, I have to fix this, but we'll have it fixed shortly. Normally, as the teacher, you will click one of these links, and you'll be able to literally see everything the student's done. You'll be able to see all their work. I was checking before, and it seemed to be logging me out, but I'll fix that after this call. We'll get that working. Basically, here you can see, let's say that you told students to do the absolute value problem set for homework. You can see who did it, how they did, who didn't do it, who got everything correctly, who needs more work, things like that. So the admin dashboard is pretty basic and pretty straightforward. It's just a way for you to see things that have been completed. You're going to want to use it to make sure they've completed their initial diagnostic test. Looking at this is at the bottom here, but this is the first diagnostic test that we were talking about. And we see that I only have completed a handful of questions. This is the diagnostic level 1. I've only done a handful of questions. I should do more so that I get more recommendations. And here at the bottom, you see just what's been recommended, what the student still has recommended to them in terms of work to do. If there's nothing recommended at this time, meaning like they haven't done the diagnostic questions enough or they completed all their recommendations, they won't see anything. But if there is something recommended, you'll see this. And this is a way of knowing, okay, has the student done everything they should be doing on the platform? How much are students using it? And things such as that. So that really is the walkthrough of the whole platform at this point. Again, as I was saying before, each of you is going to be getting I'm just going to move around this window here, my thumbnail video. All right, each of you is going to get a spreadsheet for your school that looks something like this. And it's going to have the links that you're going to need. So your admin link is going to be up top in green. And then links for each student is going to be below so that you can navigate there. Encourage you to try it out with your students. As you have questions, please let us know. We do have how-to videos that Simon's created that are on the platform. I think some are here. If you just go publicly, those actually won't be relevant, but there we can definitely help with different materials. So I think that the best place to start is obviously making sure all your students can log into the system, getting them started with that initial diagnostic like we talked about, and then going from there and having them do some of the diagnostics to recommend things to them. So yeah, I think again, I know this is a lot of information. I know I've talked for a very long time and I've repeated myself a lot. There probably still are plenty of other questions, but that's about it in terms of using the platform initially. And are there any questions or anything else that I can clarify?
Kareem, Yusuf, and Khadija, this is your time before you have to get your students up and running on the platform. So what might happen too as well is that we may follow up with you all in a couple of weeks. I will be in Nigeria I get in on the 20th of November, which is a Wednesday. So as it gets closer, Simon and Ben, I might just reach out to you to see while I'm in the country. It might be a good thing to maybe just have a follow-up meeting, just to see where everybody's at with the students to make sure that all the students have had access into it, and if there's any questions, um, uh, and all. Khadija asked a question, do the
Yep.
translations apply to the videos and notes as well?
Unfortunately, no. Simon, you're going to have to work on become multilingual.
I
Unfortunately,
can only
no.
speak so many languages.
But what I would say is we would welcome having more materials created. We're a small team; it's just Simon and myself. So if you have, we've been working with different teachers. For example, we've worked with a teacher that's created a whole physics program around Archer. And if you have teaching materials that you would like to include or upload, please let us know. We would welcome that. We would love to expand the material on the platform.
And I think that would be great, particularly because, the system and the education system that we use is, it's a little different. Yes, Khadija, I mean, in school, because of the multiple languages that we have in Nigeria, language of instruction is English in majority schools. Now you can go into some rural areas in Nigeria, some remote parts, and they may teach in the local language, but typically it's in English. But I would encourage, Karim, Yusuf, Khadija, if there's anyone, in terms of even the curriculum that you have in math that you think would be relevant for us to have into the platform to upload. I think this would be a great opportunity to also put that information and pilot and test that. Maybe some of the things, maybe the prep questions that we use for WIAC might be a
That'd
good
be very
one.
helpful.
Might be a good one to have on the platform. So I might be following up with you all, particularly because, for example, Adiola, and I think Yusuf too as well, you have a lot of students that are in grade 11 and 12, which is SS2 and SS3. And so they're getting ready for WIAC. And so some of those, teaching materials that you're using, I think would be great to have and to be able to use that for the next step of like students, who would come in. So we're going to be relying on you all a lot just for information and just what's working great, what's not working, what can we improve on. And I know that a lot of the students too will be using, ideally in the perfect world, we want everybody to have, which was nice today, to have like a computer to be able to use it for their programs, but a lot of kids are going to be using their phones. So we also want to hear feedback about how that has been, being able to use their phones to also be able to access the platform and be able to, engage with the platform. So we're going to be asking a lot of questions, and your feedback is going to be greatly appreciated. But are there any questions before we let you go? I will be sending the email with the links And on copy would be Ben and Simon's emails too as well. They're the technical gurus to the platform. So please reach out to them if you have any questions. But I think we will have a follow-up meeting just to see, in about a couple of weeks, just to get everybody settled in, and just to make sure that everybody's okay. And then if you as the administrators or the teachers have questions, then that will be a good time to be able to answer some of those questions too as well. But thank you all for getting on and taking time out. I know you already had a long day teaching at school today to do this. So very excited about it.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
Thank you
Yusuf,
very much for joining us.
yeah, Karim, Khadija, any feedback before we let you guys go?
So much. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
Of
you.
course. And please, like, we're open and available to answer
Yeah,
questions.
Your
The
help.
you and the students are that you're what we care about. You are our users. We're nothing without the users. So please let us know anything that you encounter, any questions you have, send them directly to Archer.
Yeah. And I'm gonna download this onboarding session, and I'm gonna
Yes.
put it on YouTube and have a link so
That'd be
that
great.
it'll be easy for everybody to be able to access that. And so when we're sending out the links, the YouTube link will be part of the email that goes out. And then I will also re-forward, Ben, thank you. I saw the document that you sent to everybody. I'll just attach that again to just make sure that everybody has that document again and they have all the necessary information to at least have a successful onboarding session with their students.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
You're
rest
welcome.
of your night, everybody.
Have a great night,
All
day.
right.
Everyone, take care. All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.